Before he created the largest tech company in the world, Steve Jobs was a prankster at school who dropped out of university after just 6 months. But he had a passion for electronics and ran with it, co-creating Apple from his parents' garage. And despite at one point facing a humiliating coup from his own company, he never gave up.
Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love.
Virgin founder Richard Branson has dyslexia, and on his last day at school, his headmaster told him he would either end up in prison or become a millionaire. Fortunately for him, the latter cold. But first came many entrepreneurial failures, including a fizzled Virgin Cola and when no one said yes to his dress.
As long as you tried everything you can, then if you fail, you'll sleep okay, and you'll pick yourself up.
Author J.K. Rowling did okay at school, but it didn't guarantee her an easy ride.
7 years after my graduation day, I had failed on an epic scale. An exceptionally short-lived marriage had imploded, and I was jobless, a lone parent, and as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless.
But after a dozen rejections, she finally got the green light for Harry Potter in 1997, and its popularity was unprecedented.
Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected.
Aussie entrepreneur Dick Smith was bottom of his class in both primary and high school, and he describes himself as a free-range kid.
I was a bit of a failure, so I have no qualifications, and I say to people, get any qualifications you can, but even if you can't, you'll do okay.
But with a $610 investment, he began a car radio company, which became Dick Smith Electronics. 12 years later, he sold the lot to Woolworths for a staggering $25 million. That's more than $100 million in today's money.
I think the key to success is a number of things: working really hard, asking advice, copying the success of others, and putting really hard work in. That's the most important thing.
Thank you. Boost Juice founder Janine Alice left tech school at 16 years old. She then travelled the world for 7 years before developing her grand idea. Her food and drink empire now boasts 640 stores worldwide. So if you're agonising over your exams, just remember these famous figures all have one thing in common, and it's a love for what they do.
And it's totally true, and the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up.
Wow, some really encouraging stuff there, isn't there? I came across some tips just recently for managing exam stress, and I thought they were really good, so I thought we should share them with our viewers this morning. The first one being, it's normal to feel stressed. I mean, when you're in an exam situation, it's not comfortable, but that is very normal, and the advice is push through your discomfort. The second one, don't fear failure. You've never failed if you've tried, if you've done your best, so don't fear the idea of failing. Don't overthink it. At the end of the day, they're exams, but that's all they are. And understand how you like to work in terms of preparing for your exams. So if you're someone who has a short attention span, maybe, block out an hour and focus for an hour and then get up and go for a run or go and have a snack or do... we don't all work the same way, and we all thrive in different environments. So be aware of your individual situation and adhere to it.
Yeah, and thoughts too with the parents who are going through the exams with the kids, because it's stressful for the whole family. It really is.
But Deb, I feel quite strongly about this. I think as parents, a lot of us are putting extra pressure on our kids. I can't tell you how many people I hear saying, oh, we've got HSC this year, so we're not going anywhere. And it's like the whole household is treading on eggshells for this child who's sitting exams. Imagine the additional stress that's putting on the student. I just think, actually, no, life as normal. Yes, cook them their favourite dinner and I don't know, provide some nice comforts, but don't all put your life on hold for this person sitting their HSC, because the pressure is enormous already. And imagine how the siblings are feeling. Oh, you know, Georgie's doing her HSC, we're not allowed to go on holidays. Or, I just think we've got to take the notion that it's the be-all and end-all, I think, is often driven by the parents.
And the pressure, though, is there. It's very real. I remember feeling it I mean, it's not isolated. It's not a new thing. It's been going, you know,
but it's
for anyone who's done exams.
Yeah.
It was a big thing when I was doing my HSC.
Yeah.
I remember being really stressed by it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, that's it. It's over now.
But I think
Correct. And that's the point.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Well, maybe.
It's interesting, though. I mean, we talk about the fact that, you know, there's these famous cases of people who didn't do well in the HSC and went on to then be success stories or whatever. But also, a success story doesn't necessarily mean inventing the iPhone. I mean, you could run your own plumbing business and have the happiest life in the world. So, you know, not everything comes down to this, and not everything comes down to being a multi-trillionaire either. You can have the happiest life and have a simple life too.
Couldn't agree more. Well said, Tom.